So we're back in Forza Motorsport, this time in the Forza GT series, and we're at Hakone, a circuit that I didn't warm to initially, but the more I race it, the more I absolutely love this track. Qualified P1 obviously, would start off the line there, but Panda behind us is very, very quick. We initially out-qualified P2 by maybe half a second, but then at the last minute this dude came in and posted a very good quali time, about a 1/10 of a second off of where we qualified. So I knew that this at least would be a two-car battle out the front, but didn't quite go that way, as you'll see a little bit later in the video. But trying to see how we handle down the straight here. So obviously this is a great area for slipstream. Try to keep it to the inside here. At least trying not to let him have the inside line to the next corner. Didn't want to be overly defensive at this point, but let's make it not so easy for him, I guess. Coming around here, little brush on that corner. Make it into the next corner here, a little hit again. Almost loses it, but he keeps good control of it here. Coming down to this fast left-hander. So I haven't learned my lesson from the first video. I did mention that I didn't have the proximity indicators on, and I still don't. So shame on me for that. I'll make sure to have them on for the next time. It's actually very hard to race people very closely in this game without those proximity indicators, so I need to get them on. Losing traction out of the last corner here. Panda gets a great run on us. Right behind us. But P3 is actually just behind him, so he's actually looking at working together here by the looks of it. He's giving us a little bit of a bump down the back, or down the front straight. And I would have loved to oblige, but here made the silly mistake of being on the brake, changing down gears and turning at the same time. And what I've realized in Forza, it's not a good idea at all to do that, because once the car starts to go, at least at the moment 100% of the time, I've never been able to catch it. Once the car starts sliding like that, it's gone. Your race is compromised from that point on. So we did lose it, obviously. Got a few hits there off of other people. Back down in P13, but still only 7 seconds off of the lead, so not too bad. But I do want to go through in this video maybe what not to do when trying to fight back through the field if you've made a mistake in Forza, because I've had to learn this lesson the hard way, and there's a few good examples here of what not to do. So you can see the crowd ahead of us. Now what I don't want to be doing at this point is being overly aggressive. That's coming into crowds like this and trying to do overtakes as quickly and efficiently as possible, because more often than not, you're going to make a mistake, someone's going to hit you, or something's going to go wrong to just compromise your race even further. Because unlike normal simulators, I suppose there's a lot more people using controllers on Forza, and then also there's a larger difference in skill level, and you learn that the hard way when you start trying to fight through the field like this. So 2 overtakes, but what I do and what I tend to do when I'm doing this is give a wide berth on the inside of the corner. You can't leave enough space, and especially with a track like this in Hakone, circuit is super wide, so I give them all the space they need. And you can see in our rear view mirror there, they're still at it behind us. It's a little bit of a crash fest at times, particularly down the lower end of the field. So if you're used to being up at the far tip end of the field and then you get pushed back, or something happens and you end up coming back down the field, it is something to get used to. The driving level back down around these positions is a little bit more questionable than you may find up the front end of the field. Into the first corner here, you can see P7 straight through, gives us an opportunity to get it down the inside, past both of them at the same time. So didn't need to be invited twice there. Obviously took both positions with open arms, and now we're through to P7, 5.7 seconds to the leader. Car ahead of us off. We decided to keep it to the outside. We don't want to turn the car too aggressively back in towards the track, because at this speed, and especially going over curbs, that is the quickest way to lose your car in Forza Motorsport, because the curbs more often than not on these tracks are absolute death. You want to avoid them with all costs. So another thing to watch out for as well, actually you can see here what I mean by the curbs. Luckily we don't hit anyone else, but on the power, touch the curb on the outside and the car just goes on us. So that's now again was back exactly where we were, and one more back to P14. So now we have to do all that hard work again. Now let's take it back a minute, because I was going to also go into another point there, and one thing to watch out when coming through the field like this. If you find that you're faster than the majority of people around you, the majority of mistakes and the majority of accidents I find are due to people braking inconsistently ahead of you or unpredictably. And I do think that that comes down more often than not to the fact that a lot of people are going to be using controller here. Not everyone is going to be on a steering wheel or have pedals to use. As you can see, someone losing it, that's a freebie, so we take that. But what I find here is that you have to be very conservative behind people when coming into heavy braking zones, because more often than not, what you'll do is brake even harder to avoid. You'll turn the steering wheel, and then again, you're going to be losing the car. It's going to spin, and it's just going to set you back, and it's an extremely frustrating position to be in from kind of no fault of your own, just trying to avoid someone ahead of you to keep your safety rating up, to make sure that you're driving as safe as possible. But as I said, more often than not, it's going to result in an accident for you and you alone, or either that or you're going to get a time penalty. So that's another thing to watch out. If you do get a setback during a race and you're coming from the front of the field to the back and you're trying to make your way through as quickly as you can, just bear in mind that people ahead of you, their braking markers are most likely going to be a little bit inconsistent, and if not, just different than what yours may be. So onto the back of P9 here again. We pass him, try to go to the outside. We have a run on him here. I'm a little bit conscious that he is on the inside now, so we give him plenty of space, but we can see him in the rear view. So now we cut in, take the inside of the corner and onto the back straight. So that is now P9, P1 now 12 seconds ahead. So it's very unlikely that we're going to get back up towards the fighting positions for the win at this stage, considering we've now spun the car twice. But we can, of course, try to make up some positions and get back up to those podium positions. Our tires are going now, so you can see our front left and our two rear tires are now in the orange. Looking back at this now and looking at the replay, I should have pitted there and then, as it's very hard. The drop off on the tires in this game is extremely quick, and I'm talking night and day. One lap you're controlling the car as confidently as you want, next lap you are all over the place, literally driving on ice. So looking back at that, I should have pitted this lap. But hey ho, we're in the position we're in, trying to make the most of it. Again on the curb, you can see the car kind of getting sideways there. I just can't control it at this stage. I'm just wanting to get by people. I'm kind of letting the emotion of it take over, where I feel as if I should be faster, I should be back up in those top positions. But of course, it doesn't always work like that. You need patience, you need to be consistent, and more so rely on other people making mistakes around you. So the car feeling extremely dodgy at this point, because those tires are gone and everyone around us is feeling the same. Everyone is on thin ice here, literally, and really skidding about. So a bit of a dodgy situation here. We do get a bump from behind with the Audi. We managed to get by the Lamborghini. You can see the car ahead of us, the Audi, spinning as it goes into the pits. Its tires completely gone, and annoyingly we get a whack from it here as we go into the pits and pick up quite a severe penalty, I think, so 2.75 seconds. So we do need to keep that in mind coming to the end of the race, obviously, that we're going to have 2.75 seconds added onto our time through no fault of our own. It wasn't really worth it for us to slow down there, because people behind us would have just ran into us, and I'm not sure if we would have missed the pit lane. So it was actually in my favour to just keep on the gas there and hope that we avoided that spinning Audi. Of course, as you can see, we didn't, but that's the way it goes. So coming out here now right behind P10, and we're back in P11, so back at the tail end of the field, and we feel at this point as if we have it all to do again. So I think we pitted in when we were in around P7, so now it feels like we're just back in that. And of course there's other people to pit ahead of us, that's always going to be the case, but again, we want to see that number come down. So Porsche ahead of us battling with that Beamer. I don't know if they've prior beef to this race, but some of these guys, especially, I'm pretty sure it was this Beamer every time. You could probably see in my rear view mirror from time to time. People just had a vendetta against each other. You'd see people coming down the back straight and just absolutely honing each other into the barriers. It's fascinating to see, after coming from the likes of iRacing, ACC and LFM, where people tend to race a little bit cleaner. You know, people get banned, people get disqualified from the service and stuff. So generally you get, you know, more sim racers that tend to race a little bit more ethically, I suppose, but it's not exactly like that in Forza, and I'd kind of forgotten that in all the years since I've played Forza 7 at any great length of time, and it's a bit of a shock to the system to come back into a game and see that level of driving. Sometimes it's as much entertaining as it is horrendous, but just something to get used to. So lap number 9 now, coming up to the back of P6. Now you would have noticed a little bit earlier in the video that we did reach level 50 with this car, so we have been driving it quite a bit now in the Forza Challenge or Forza GT series and really coming to grips with it. So I really like the Audi. I find it really good on this track specifically. We would have had a great opportunity to pass P6 there, but we also made a mistake. Going to cut across, be pretty aggressive with his defense, but hey ho, we're going to find a better opportunity here, and of course the straights are going to grant that to us because car is now updated as much as we're going to update it, and a lot of people in these races do not have those upgrades on their car yet. So car is feeling good, driving good, we give him plenty of space on the inside, as I said earlier as well, without the proximity indicators, and you know, giving people as much space as I can to avoid any sort of unnecessary accidents. We do run wide there, we do give him way more space than we should have, but I'd rather play it safe than sorry at this point. So P5, so not too bad considering where we were initially before the second spin, and then back to P14. Back up in P5 now. My sights set on P4, 5 seconds up the road. We've got 3 racing laps left, so we're going to see if we can pull this out of the bag and get to P4 before the checker flag. Coming towards the end of the last lap, lap 13, we now have the gap down to 2 seconds. We've put in a few flying laps there to get that gap down as quickly as we can, but I think it's pretty much a lost cause at this point, because even if we catch up, we do have a 2.75 second penalty also. So I do think the car ahead is struggling quite a bit with their tyres at this point, gap down to 1.8. As you can see, it's just not enough to get that P4 position, but we're quite happy, all things considered, to finish in P5. So a pretty solid race, but a few mistakes there from myself that I'm disappointed with, but equally I'm happy that I fought my way through back up to the top fighting positions. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope at least you took a few lessons from this in what not to do when trying to fight through or back through the field in any given race. Patience is a virtue, and it is something that will aid you quite a lot in Forza Motorsport, believe me. So thanks a lot for watching the video, I do really appreciate it, and thanks if you checked out the last Forza video, I do really appreciate it. There's a large percentage of people who watch the video who aren't subscribed, so if you find yourself back on the channel watching this as well and you enjoyed the content, be sure before you go anywhere, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Forza content coming up in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.